Welcome in Chiefs Kingdom to Chiefs Latest, your one-stop spot for everything Kansas City Chiefs in 15 minutes or less. It is your host, Calvin Silvers. Happy Friday. As you can tell, I am not in my usual studio, but that's all right. It's only for one episode. I promise we'll be back there on Monday, but we still have an action-packed episode, 4 topics that we have to dive into, including some trade rumors and free agent options that the Chiefs could look at. But before we dive into anything, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and make sure you turn on those notifications because we have videos daily. That's right, I said daily, Monday through Friday. You're not going to want to miss any of the action regarding the Kansas City Chiefs. So hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, as it not only helps me in the channel, but it's going to help you stay up to date with everything Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I mentioned a potential trade that the Chiefs could do. I'm not 100% sure about this one because of the cap room that we have, but the question is, should the Chiefs trade for Jaylen Ramsay? Now, of course, we know Ramsay is a 7-time Pro Bowler, has those elite cover skills at the cornerback position. He could really shut down those AFC West stars that we're about to see in the upcoming season. Now, this cap hit, as I mentioned, he's likely looking at over $16 million in 2025. That's pretty steep for our $12.1 million that we have in cap space right now. Now, the trade proposal is, of course, a rumored package of Jaylen Watson plus a 5th-round pick, but you could easily ask for a 3rd-round pick in that, a 4th-round pick, or, like I mentioned, a 5th-round pick. So they could get away, I believe, with either of those 3 options, plus, of course, having a player in there like Jaylen Watson. Now, your alternative, stick with your young guns, stick with Williams, develop the youth, save some cap, bring in a guy on a smaller, $9 to $10 million deal, which we'll get to here in a second, a potential athlete we could bring in. But you just keep building for the future there. Because if you keep bringing in older guys, especially ones that are over 30, it's just higher risk of injury as well. And then you're just back to square one. You don't have any depth anymore. Now, the secondary is uncertain. There's no, doubt about that. You're moving on from Justin Reed. You're still feeling the loss of L'Jarius Sneed. There's some question marks. You have a lot of youth on this depth chart. There's a lot of question marks going into this season. Ramsay could easily help counter not only the talented weapons we'll see on the outside, but this quarterback scene that we're about to see in the AFC West and the AFC as a whole. CJ Stroud, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. I didn't even get to any of the AFC West quarterbacks, but you get the general idea. Long-term strategy, of course, cap constraints and youth development. That's critical for sustained success. If you want to keep winning, if you want your 10th AFC West title, you have to keep developing young guns. You have to always have depth, especially at key positions. Looking at Ramsay last year, 2 interceptions, a PFF grade of 76.9, and most of his snaps were on the outside. Watson had 6 pass breakups and a low cap hit. That's always nice. And Williams, 0 interceptions, but had 6 pass breakups. And of course, he did have lower snap count than his teammates, so we didn't see as much of him that we would have liked. But as a whole, the Chiefs ranked 18th in the NFL, towards the bottom when it came to pass defense as a whole. So Ramsay would lock down those AFC West receivers. And if you pair him with Trent McDuffie, that gets really, really nasty. If you trade Watson, however, you risk losing depth, as I say, especially bringing in someone like Ramsay, who could be prone to injury the more older he gets. And you don't want to lose any development. You always want to have depth, young guns, or young guys ready to show up if they need to be. And you always want to have someone at a cheaper price if you can keep it that way. And Mahomes, I don't think we look at it this way sometimes, but he could benefit from better field position, especially with Ramsay getting those takeaways. Something that, as I mentioned, we didn't see much of from Watson or Williams. Bringing in Ramsay gives you more potential to give the ball to Patrick Mahomes and have the ball in Patrick Mahomes' hands. Losing a 3rd-round pick, yes, it still chips away at draft capital, especially when you have someone like Brett Veach who's good at maximizing what he has. But if you lose a 4th or 5th rounder, I think you can live with that more. But yes, Ramsay, no question, would be dominant against these AFC West receivers on the outside. But his $16.66 million that he likely wants is going to just kill any flexibility for any other roster move that the Chiefs might want to make. And that could be a roster move, such as adding another offensive lineman, which is something I'm all about this offseason, especially with what we saw last season with the offensive line. But should the Chiefs sign free agent Brandon Scherf? Well, my opinion is, well, he's a 5-time Pro Bowler. He has solid pass protection. He would be a really strong fit for the Chiefs' offensive line. And his price tag, current market value for a 1-year deal, is projected between $7 and $9 million. That fits perfectly with the Chiefs. Now you have Kingsley Suamataia, played 195 snaps in 2024, and then you drafted Josh Simmons, who's competing right now for a starting spot from what we have been reading and hearing and seeing in minicamp. They're young and they can both grow into their roles. But if you bring in Scherf, he could mentor those two, adding to their long-term development, especially someone like Simmons, who is very fresh legs into the league. I would only sign him, though. I would only sign Scherf if he takes a 1-year deal at or below $10 million. If you can get him at that $7 million price range, that would be perfect. I would probably cap it off about $9 million, but you could make the case of spending $10 million to have someone that's going to protect Patrick Mahomes, especially when it comes to pass blocking. And we know the AFC West pass rushers, so Scherf's experience could really help counter those elite rushers. And he still remains the top available guard in free agency. 2023 and 2024, 2 sacks allowed in 2023, 0 sacks allowed in 2024 on 625 pass blocking snaps. He had the 4th lowest pressure rate at 2.5% in the NFL back in 2023, not too far removed from that. In 2024, his pass block grade was 74.9. That was 19th out of 136. Looking at Suamataia last year, as I mentioned, 195 snaps, allowed 3 sacks in 2024 with a 39.4 PFF grade. Yeah, not pleasant to look at, not pleasant to hear, not pleasant to see. I'll just put it that way. And the Chiefs in 2024 had a bunch of sacks that they allowed. They ranked bottom 20 in the NFL. So bringing Scherf at guard, I think that just strengthens the interior, especially after Joe Thuney's departure. And you have, of course, Creed Humphrey locking down the center position. So Suamataia, Simmons, yes, likely to compete for starting roles, are probably almost there, but yet are both young and are both developing. So bringing in Brandon Scherf, that's a strong fit to help shield Mahomes from the AFC West just rushers that we know are going to be a problem, and yet he can also help mentor the young linemen. So $7 to $9 million for a 1-year deal works within the Chiefs' budget. I would try to go on the lower half of that of 7 instead of the higher end of 9. But if you can't get him either, you still have Suamataia. You can work that. You still have Simmons that you want to grow. But yet, I think that mentorship that Scherf would bring is very, very, very valuable. So try to get him on that $7 to $9 million deal. All right, I talked about the quarterbacks yesterday, a little position breakdown. Let's go ahead and talk about the linebackers, because PFF has ranked the linebacker unit for the Chiefs 4th in the NFL for 2025. That's not bad at all. Top 5, I'll take it, behind the Eagles, Lions, and Patriots. Nick Bolton, as I mentioned, leads the defense. I think he is the field general for the Chiefs, and just his run-stopping ability is always nice. Leo Chanel, he's a standout. 83.6 PFF overall grade in 2024, high. Just a high grade. Someone that was always making plays. He ranked among the NFL's top linebackers last season. They have Drew Tranquill. He adds some consistency and versatility. I like that. He's a little two-way kind of guy. 66.5 overall PFF, could be upgraded a little bit, but still about average or slightly above average. And then we haven't really talked about the rookie Jeffrey Bassa. His blitzing ability has been nice. He's been really impressing some people in camp, especially your field general and Nick Bolton. So that's just great energy, and that's just a great fit for Spag's scheme, especially that 4-man rush. So the unit must improve and pass coverage, as I'd been mentioning all episode with what we're about to see with the AFC West pass-heavy offenses. But this is a 4th-ranked unit heading into the season, the 2025 season, just highlighting mostly their elite run, defense, and their depth. And they can step up when they need to when it comes to pass coverage, but that is still something that they can work on as a whole. And with this Leo Chanel, His continued development has looked good. He will probably have a larger role in 2025. Once again, he'll be crucial in anchoring the defense. So I just like this unit. I think this unit is going to take a step forward, especially coming off a year where they were ranked 18th in the NFL, allowing about 7 yards per attempt. I think they're going to take a step forward. I think we're going to see a lot better numbers. Yeah, Bolton at the Mike linebacker leads the defense, as I mentioned, calls the plays. Tranquil flexes in coverage, provides versatility. You have Chanel, elite run stopper, key for shutting down some AFC West backs. We're about to see Bossa, as I mentioned, just a rookie, but he's been impressing, adding that blitzing edge, fits the scheme well. So this is going to be a fun unit. I can agree with a top 5 ranking for this linebacker unit for the Chiefs. Chanel's 83.6 PFF grade is also truly amazing. I had to say that stat again because it's literally among the NFL's best. He can shut down the best of them. So, and hopefully, too, we keep our fingers crossed that Bossa can keep improving and showing off these blitzing abilities, and that could take a lot of edge off what the Chiefs are going into with this season. I'm going to bring up a name that might leave a sour taste in some people's mouths, but Tyreek Hill. Of course, we give our respects where we need to and what he did for the Chiefs, but he's trying to stay relevant again by mentioning the Chiefs, and I'm kind of getting tired of it. He's claiming that the Dolphins will take the AFC over the Chiefs this upcoming season. Pure attention seeking. That's all this is. That's all he wants is attention. He's 0-2 versus KC since leaving, and he's been mostly contained by the Chiefs defense. He hasn't really been that crazy when it comes to these games. And he's talking about Tua is the best quarterback. That man is one hit away from not being in the league anymore. Patrick Mahomes is still the most elite quarterback in the league. And I would argue that there's 4 or 5 better AFC quarterbacks than Tua right now. And as I mentioned, we just got over the linebackers. We just got over maybe talking about adding Ramsay. It doesn't even matter what goes on there because when it comes to playoffs and Miami has to come to KC in the cold or have to play in any cold setting, they're getting shut down. It doesn't matter who they have on offense. McDuffie, Watson, Williams, or as I mentioned, a new addition, they can all help lock down Hill. I'm not too worried about it. Hill was commenting on Manziel's podcast after Manziel mentioned that the Chiefs have the ability to make another Super Bowl run. But again, this is all just noise for Tyreek. He just wants the light shine back on him. I mean, he was talking bad about this team not too long ago. Now he just did a complete, 180 on his team. Looking at last season, 81 catches, 959 yards, 6 touchdowns, his lowest yardage since 2019. When we're looking at the playoff odds, since, he's so confident that they're going to take the AFC over the Chiefs, well, the Chiefs are plus 360 favorites to repeat right now. Dolphins are a long shot at plus 700 or 7,500. I mean, of course, those numbers are going to change as we get closer to the season, but those are the odds right now. That's a long shot for the Dolphins right now. And there's several AFC contenders that I would pick over the Dolphins to take down the Chiefs. Bills, Ravens, Texans, Bengals, just to name a few. They've all made key additions as well, especially the Ravens, and improved their rosters, where when you look at the Dolphins, they're dealing with roster changes that aren't going their way and questions at several positions. I think that just makes it even tougher for them to keep pace in the AFC, not just with the Chiefs, but the entire AFC as a whole. And don't let them get to the playoffs and have to play somewhere where it's cold. They're not going to do well. So, yeah, we can talk about, Tyreek. We can also look at Tua, 0-2 versus the Chiefs. 3 touchdowns, an interception, 7 sacks. Nothing impressive there either. So who's going to step up? Who's going to step up when they face the Chiefs? Because I believe Mahomes, Rice, Worthy, they can keep pace with this Miami offense if they have to. And Spags defense, they know Tyreek well. Spags knows Tyreek well. Andy Reid knows Tyreek well. They know how to stop his tendencies. So this is all just emotional talk from Tyreek Hill. He just needs the attention put back on him. His claims are desperate grabs for attention, desperate grabs for headlines. There's no substance to it. Don't listen to it. He misses KC. We all know it. We all know it. All right, that was Friday's episode. Before you guys exit out of the video and go enjoy your weekend, go ahead and leave in the comments what you thought about adding Jaylen Ramsay or Brandon Scherf. Let me know if you'd like to see any of those in a Chiefs uniform. Also, what do you think about this linebacker unit going into the season? And Tyreek Hill, I'd love to see your guys' thoughts because he is starting to get on my nerves with all this back talking on the Chiefs. Well, this has been Chiefs Latest. We have videos Monday through Friday. That's right, daily, Monday through Friday. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications. That way you're not missing any news or rumors regarding the Kansas City Chiefs. I am your host, Calvin Silvers. And until next time, have a good one.